way. They're bound to be. But when most of the threatened problems don't materialise, that'll be more important in many ways than the benefits, which will bluntly take longer to come. They'll take years to manifest, whereas the problems, of course, inevitably are immediate. But when most of them don't happen, when people actually can get their kids to go to European universities and indeed American and Canadian and Australian universities under the Turing scheme, then people suddenly realise they were fretting about nothing in that context. That'll be more important. And there are a lot of Remainers who are ex-Remainers, as it were, now, who are saying, well, if I thought we could have got this deal, I perhaps would have voted Brexit in the first place. So there's quite a lot of resetting of people's views. There's also a fatigue effect. People are just tired of it, and they want it done and over. And I think that's actually a very powerful impact. I think it affected the last election, to be truthful, and that will go away. So I think in terms, we will find that only a very small, rather bitter minority will carry on this argument, and people will stop paying attention.
A lot of the newspapers over the last few days have been quoting lots of people who've looked through the deal that was done at the very last minute and said, well, this isn't as advantageous to Britain as Boris Johnson is trying to suggest. And yet you've got Nigel Farage signing up to it. You've got the ERG signing up to it. They all seem quite happy with it. Is there any aspect of it that you really are concerned about, or do you think it's the best deal that they could have got in the circumstances?
Well, I have a confession to make. It takes me more than a week to read 1,200 pages, if it's a romantic novel, let alone if it's a legal document.
You read romantic novels?
No, I don't. I'm making a point.
I thought I got a scoop there.
All right, it's a James Bond novel, whatever you like. But the simple truth is I haven't been through every page yet, and I will do, but it's going to take the next month at least, if not longer. And there will be hiccups in it. I mean, the hard truth is that the European Union has a tradition, understandable tradition, of being really tough about administering its rights in treaties, whether they're dealing with internal members of the union or external ones. I mean, if you want examples, look at the way it treated Greece internally, look at the way it treated Switzerland externally. For those who are not familiar with it, when the Swiss tried to tighten up their migration laws, the European Union threatened to cancel every one of its trade treaties dating back 20-odd years. So these, you've got to assume that they will exercise it as tightly as they can in their own favour. And so you've got things like the fishing arrangements, which after 5 years really effectively come under our own control, but they hold the right to drop other chapters of the treaty or other sections of the treaty, like trade and transport and so on. So we've got to look at this very carefully and say, okay, how do we avoid these conflicts? How do we avoid these traps? How do we maximise the benefits of our sovereignty without getting into more rows of the European Union? And that's something. I mean, I hope that Boris, certainly if I were in his position, puts in place a very strongly staffed, tough-minded Brexit management or post-Brexit management team that looks at all this and can make sure that our policies avoid those bear traps. And there are some. There's undoubtedly some, and there may be many. We don't know.